Alrighty, welcome back to our next episode. I want to say hey brothers because I
Hi.
I always just I'm like, hey brother. You know what?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, hey brother. Hey brothers. You're like, do
Hi.
it.
Hi, brothers.
See, it's catchy, huh? Thank me later.
It is catchy. I like it. What's up,
I
brothers?
like it. What were you saying earlier? You're like gnarly or something. You're like, that's
What in the
gnarly. Oh, what
tarnation?
in the tar
Oh,
nation?
me? What in the tarnation?
Okay, guys. So when we start getting feedback from you, let us know what you want our opening to be. Do you want it to be "Hey brothers" or do you want it to be "What in the tarnation"?
What in the tarnation? Yeah, we can do a little bit of mixtures. Hey, brothers. What in the tarnation?
I love it. I love it. Okay, so welcome, welcome back. We are going to talk about in this episode when home isn't safe. So this one I think is going to get a little. I think they're all going to be a little deep, but there's also light. I mean, there's going to be light in anything. Even at night, the stars in the sky give light. There's light in anything except the back of a cave. I went into a cave once in Alabama with a friend, shut all the lights off. They said the darkest places is the back of a cave and the deepest part of the ocean. And I've thought about it ever since that trip. I need to call her and actually talk to her about this. How do they know if they've never been to the bottom of the ocean how dark it is? But
Right, I
anyways, something
know.
for everyone to think about aside from, healing. Okay, anyways, got a little sidetracked there. Um, when home isn't safe. So we have been talking a lot about hope, hopelessness, all of those things, and those are heavy, heavy, heavy feelings. And when we're saying them to you, there's going to be a whole conversation with me and Kayleen after this probably. We're on FaceTime a lot and we go in depth a lot. So sharing with you guys, I think it is exciting for us. Me and Kayleen, we have spent a lot of time talking, navigating, getting triggered. I also want to state that me and Kayleen, as you're listening, this is not how it always looked for us. We have gotten triggered with each other. We have had a point in our life where I don't think either of us liked each other at all. Or I know we didn't. I think, we did not, this is not how life looked for us. With what we went through, it shaped us into people that we didn't even get to see each other. Like, and I'm not just saying physically, just in general. We had people, this is going to be a perfect example of when home isn't safe. We had people in our lives who intentionally manipulated situations, would say something to Kayleen, switch the dynamic, come to me, go back and forth, do this. Me and Kayleen are
Right.
irritated with each other. And I'm going to dive in. You know what? I'm going to
Yes.
dive in. There was a scenario,
Go
and then I'm going to let Kayleen talk because I feel like once one of us get talking, I feel like I talk a lot. So
No, yeah. No.
this is,
I don't know.
so there was a scenario, and Kayleen, if there's anything this is something I'm very big about. If I am reliving something or sharing something from my memories, I am very big, and I have reached out to my friends. Hey, am I remembering this correctly? Because deep trauma affects the brain in ways that we don't understand. And it has affected my physical brain in ways that I now have to live with for the rest of my life. And this is something else we can talk about in a later episode. So I just, yeah, wanna, I don't know, my mind just went blank. Okay. So as I was saying, how we got manipulated in situations. Here's a situation. I was in a situation with somebody else, and the person that had put their hands on me, I spent a lot of years thinking I had fallen to the floor, or that she had fallen to the floor from the hands of that person. From the anger of the person that did it, I thought that my friend had fallen to the floor. I was wrong. The whole time after that happened, that was a very traumatizing night for me. There was a couple nights and that were traumatizing like that. And I had thought that or she had fallen. And I ended up reaching out to her. We still talk to this day. And I was wrong. My brain, that that situation was so bad that I had thought that, but I was the one that actually fell to the floor. There was a lot that happened that night. It wasn't just that, it was a whole thing, but with how bad it was, my brain, I reach out to people cuz I'm like, I want to make sure that the trauma of the situation, cuz the brain, it wants to protect itself as well, right? Like I think there's a lot of times where your brain and your thoughts, if you don't catch them, they're going to flow down the river. They're going to go free and they're going to flow. And if you don't catch them, and I think it's important to utilize resources around you and that we're in scenarios with you to make sure, hey, this situation was really bad. It's like a car accident. You know, if you get in a really, anyone that's been in a car accident that's listening and you forget, you're like, oh my gosh, wait, I don't even remember. Like, did I pass out? Did I hit the steering wheel? And you don't really remember. You kind of have to use outside sources to help you remember. And if you do remember, it's a blessing. And if you don't, you don't. So trauma has a very powerful impact on the brain. And I just wanted to explain that. But in the scenario with Kayleen, there was somebody in our lives. I remember, Kayleen, you came and visited. Mind you, we were older at this point. So I'm sharing a story from when you had a child at this point, and we were still living in a dynamic of our childhood when weren't
Yeah,
in it
right.
anymore. Like uh, the people in our lives were, their minds were still in an era, I would say, that we had already grown out of. But it seemed like when we were going back into the situation with certain people, it seemed like we hadn't grown, or like we were still in that same era too, because when we all got together, it brought us all back to that era, unfortunately. And I think it's very important to be cautious of things like that too. And I'm speaking from experience, my experience, making sure in yourself, and this isn't for kids. I don't there I was a kid once. It takes a while to get to this point mentally. You're not going to be able to just look at a situation and be like, "Oh my, I got to ground myself. I got to get some stability." You don't think that as a kid. You're a kid. You're just trying to figure out your surroundings. You know, it's like when a puppy's born, they're trying to open their eyes, they're trying to figure it out, you know. They're not just going to go walk to the door at 4 weeks and try to go potty. You got to train them. So, when Keeling came and visited, you were staying with people and I had my own apartment.
Yeah.
You wanted to come stay with me. And I remember every time the person left the room, you were like, I want to come stay with you. Because it took you, when you were sitting in this scenario with these people, and I'm speaking for you kind of, and I apologize about that. So correct me if I'm wrong. It it could have felt like you were back at 15 years old because the dynamic was still the same with those people. Just because your whole life was different, their mentality of you was still, you're 15 years old, even though you're a grown adult with a child sitting there. That's how you're
I'm
still
trying to think
viewed.
of the time that you're talking about.
Let me keep explaining and then you'll know. So you wanted to come to me and my friend's house. I'm trying to not say names here. And you were
No,
there for three
yeah.
weeks. You were staying with people for 3 weeks. And when you had wanted to come, you wanted to use Wi-Fi to do school, I believe. And they didn't have Wi-Fi. And so you were like, I want to come with you guys. And I was like, okay, well, or let's pack up. I don't know if I should say Jaylee's name. Should I just say Jay or no? I was like,
Uh,
yeah, no.
yeah,
I
you
was like,
can say Jay. You can say Jay.
I'll just say your daughter. Just, you know.
Okay.
Um, and I was like, well, let's just pack up your daughter's car seat and you can come to our house. Cause I don't think you had a car. I can't remember. I can't
Oh,
remember.
oh,
Do you
oh,
remember?
gotcha. Mm-hmm.
And then the person would come back in the room and I don't know, the power of the
Mm.
dynamic, I think, has the ability to make you freeze in that scenario because now you're in this dynamic and I'm speaking in situations, not just you directly in this situation. now your mentality is now
Right.
shifted back to when you're 15 because you're like, oh my
Right,
gosh,
because
because
I'm
that,
still a mom. I'm still got a family,
right.
but
But being
being
back in that
inside that
scenario,
home,
right.
yeah,
Does it, so
made
am I
me feel like a
explaining it?
kid
Are we
again.
aligned on how I'm explaining it?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So, like 3 times, I think. You would express to us you wanted to come over. I'm like, we have Wi-Fi. Let's get her car seat. It's one night out of 3 weeks. You are allowed to come to my house. We are grown adults. We are
Right.
in our 20s. You
Because
are
you're my
allowed to
sister.
come.
I wanted to go
Right. It's
and,
normal.
right, right,
And I think in that scenario, it put you back into mental captivity because that's the power of that dynamic that dynamic had. For Are
right.
we aligned on that as well or no?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So I remember that night, mind you, I have my friend with me that has been witnessed so much. And this person comes out one more time. I'm like, okay. And when he leaves, I'm telling you again, hey, go pack up her car seat and let's go to my house. That, like, we're kind of whispering though, because I'm also in the same dynamic. So I may be saying it like I was like, hey, pack it. I was kind of more like, hey, no,
No,
pack it. Come
right.
on.
Oh,
You
and
know,
to
I was like,
be I was living in North Carolina, visiting Michigan, and you lived in Indiana. I just wanted to share that
yes.
just
So you were
so
visiting.
right. I don't know, sorry, I don't know if you mentioned that. I was just
No, you're
elaborating on
totally
that.
fine.
Just anyways, okay, yes, and I wanted to come stay
Mm-hmm.
with
I'm
you,
glad you
right.
remember because at first I was like, oh, brother. But
Yes,
also,
yes, I was
I
trying
was like,
to
I was
I went
taking a
to
while to
visit
get to the point.
Michigan. No, no, you're good. I was visiting Michigan for 3 weeks, and
And
one
you only had
day
your
I
daughter
wanted
at the
to
time.
right.
Right.
Okay, okay.
We're both like,
I'm
right.
sorry. We're like, okay, we're okay. Alrighty.
See,
Sorry.
guys, you
Okay.
just saw us. Like, we have to, this is how we have to navigate sometimes too. So you're healing with us too. Like, we can't wait, I mean, yeah, it's so
Right.
powerful. Anyways, so the person leaves and we're thinking, now we're just back whispering to each other, pack your stuff, like, come on. And you're like, I really want to go over there. I need Wi-Fi. And it wasn't even about the Wi-Fi. It was just coming over. Like, so simple as grown adults that you should be able to do. And that person comes out from the hallway and starts screaming at me directly, cussing me out, screaming at me, you don't know how to leave situations alone. She told you she didn't want to come. Why do you have to push and push and push and screaming at me directly? And I remember I was just like, what in the world? Like, it took me back to when I was living with them. And I remember being so taken back and just, yeah, my heart was breaking because it's just so much to deal with. So I remember I walked back into their room and I was like, hey, I'm really sorry that it felt that way or whatever. I just wanted Keeling to come stay the night, And they sat there and they were like, after just screaming at me and degrading me. And I'm saying degrading because when a person that is supposed to love and care about you speaks to you that way, as, whether you're in your 20s, a child, teens, or even when you're 60, it affects you in a way that if a friend did it, it would still affect you. But when it's supposed to be someone in that area of your life that's doing
The
it,
caregiver.
right, it affects you differently. And I go back there and I apologize. And the person leans, I'm like, why are you freaking out? We're not even mad. Why are you acting like we're
Right.
mad?
Like gaslighting,
Right.
like as though like
And
what are you talking
it
about?
made me, and for a long time in my life, so many of those situations happened that it made me feel crazy because I'm sitting here and then I'm like, hey, I'm sorry. And then they're like, what are you talking about? That never happened. And it's like, what do you mean? And then that's why I'm saying,
When
as
everybody in the house witnessed it.
right, right. And then you have certain people that would be like, no, you're, that didn't happen. It's like, it messes with your mind. So, Keelan, you end up coming with me. See, there's hope, guys.
Yes.
You end up coming with me. And I think it was that same day. We were told to be back at the house by, I think, 11, if I'm not mistaken. I could be
Right,
completely
like I
wrong.
felt like a kid again, dude. I was like,
Right.
"Oh, okay."
So
Like,
let me explain this. we shared a little bit about how much freedom we had with a certain person. Now, shifting that into this dynamic, I got asked before,
It was complete
right,
opposites.
completely like if you're going to move it, and not to this extreme, just an example. If you're going to move your leg out and move your right foot out first to step, you need to ask permission. Going from, oh my gosh, I'm not even gonna wear shoes, my legs are gonna do whatever they want, to going to that, it's two completely different extremes on the same like play field, if that makes sense.
Right.
So, I mean, this extreme of not having anything, anyone, to this extreme of asked to breathe. I'm just kidding. That's not funny, but
Right.
like it was,
No,
it was
no.
very intense. That was a very hard shift. I think we can both agree on that. So, we were told to
Yeah.
be back at I'm pretty sure it was 11. Mind you, this was years ago, so I don't know the exact time. But I remember, Kayleen, we got there on time. And when we arrived at the house that day,
Right.
do you remember what I'm talking about? We arrived at the house that day. We
Yes.
made sure because we know the dynamic that we were at the house. And we get there and the people in the house were like, they don't care about anybody. And I was like, we're here. But like, we're here when we said we would be here. We are here at 11. Let's go do what we said we were going to do. Don't even talk to them.
Yeah.
Don't even worry about it. No, they just care about themselves. We're not doing anything today. And it's like, and then I said,
Right. Like, be back here at 11 because we're going to go do A, B, C, and D.
right.
And then we get
We look
there right
forward to
on
it.
dot. We looking forward to it. Oh, we're not doing it
You guys are
anymore. Are you
selfish. You didn't
serious
show up
right
on
now?
time. And guys, here's the thing. We're not saying, let me explain it more because it sounds like we're just being like, oh, we didn't get to go do what we wanted. No, we didn't get to experience family things really ever that much. And if we did, it's very, very few in between. So having an excitement to go with these people and go do something, it was exciting. But, so when we get there, they're explaining to us, they're like, I told you that we were leaving when I wanted to leave. And I was like, you told us to be here at 11 and that's when we're here. Well, I told you we were leaving when I was ready. And I was like, how are we supposed to know when you're ready? Well, I said it. You should have been here. And it's like, it makes your mind feel literal insanity because it's like, I am here
Yeah.
when you told me to be here. I'm doing what we were asked to do. We're navigating our entire life to like, even when we're doing everything you want, it's still not right and we're still not good enough and we're still getting yelled at. We're still getting cussed out at. We're still pieces of crap. We're still all of these things. And it's like I hit a point with it. I'm not good enough. So that was kind of the scenario I was sharing. I don't know why that's what I shared it because it's what came to mind. I'm not really sure why. So,
Right.
but
Which is so funny that you bring that up because I was just telling my husband the other day about the 3 weeks I spent in Michigan. I said, you know, I don't regret any of the time or whatever while I was there because I had fun, but I bought my own plane ticket there and back. And with that being said, I wish if I could have gone back in time, I would have not have let individuals try to control the situation and make me stay somewhere because there was friends that I didn't go see that I wish I would have, and especially you, I wish that we would
I
have.
got one
I
day,
just wish that
one
I would
day.
have, but I say that now, but when I'm back in that same environment, I immediately feel like a kid again every single time. Like I'm like, no, I can't. I can't
Right.
do any. If they say no, then it's no. It doesn't matter if I'm 20, 30, 40 years old. If I'm there, I feel like a kid again. I feel like I'm not able to.
Right. And this is why, like, with change, I use it as such a big, I use it a lot, I feel like, in this podcast for some reason, because change, as we've made changes, I think the biggest, like, mentality barrier that I've had to fight through is realizing just because we've done certain things doesn't mean other people have. So if we sit here and we're in therapy groups and we're in recovery groups and we're doing all X, Y, and Z for ourselves, when we go back into that dynamic, it's still the same dynamic because it's still their dynamic. It's not our dynamic. So that's where like a lot of boundaries have had to come in. It's like, if you want to see me, which isn't an option right now or hasn't been for a really long time, but if you want to see me, you can meet me in a public place for this amount of time and then we will leave. I'm not coming to your house because then that opens the door. If something happens, it can get flipped on you. Oh, well, you trespassed. I'll call the police. And it's like, that's an insane thing to try to process. When you were sitting there in a house and you're kind of fighting your mentality and yourself to be in that scenario at this point because you have acres and acres and acres of stuff that have already happened to keep showing up and killing. That's why you're so strong, because to keep showing up and keep trying after you know the damage that has been inflicted, it just shows so much, because grace, and it's something only God can do. It's like, and we're not giving names because obviously I believe people are good and bad. And if you feed the bad in you, that's what's going to be expressed in your life. If you're not trying to be good, you're just not, it's just not going to happen. So, um, that is an example of like how when we were a little
Right.
bit older, and like I said, I don't know why that's that's why I'm not really sure. That
No.
I was
Yeah.
trying to find the picture because I was gonna go off of Keeling, is there like anything that's coming to your mind as we're talking that you want to talk about? Just in
Um,
general?
well, I feel like one thing that really shaped us growing up was the contrast between the two households that we lived in. On one side, we had a lot of freedom, like you were saying, we had a lot of freedom, no supervision, very not many rules, and we weren't bad kids either.
I don't
So
think we were either. We weren't out
whenever
like
no, we were I would say we were very, and we get compared, well, I don't know if I want to say that, but one household with, not many rules, and we could kind of just do what we wanted. Then on the other side, in the other household, which was the completely opposite, very strict, very controlled environment, we weren't like allowed to go to birthday parties. So you heard us speaking earlier about when we were outside. I mean, we wouldn't come back till midnight if we wanted, being, 11, 12 years old.
mind you, during that time of freedom that we're using the word freedom, this isn't a freedom of like, oh my gosh, I broke free. This isn't a freedom of, oh my gosh, um, spiritually free. This is freedom in regards to not having any rules, any structure. This is freedom
Right.
specifically
Yeah.
on what our environment was. Freedom, we're using it differently than how it's normally used. I just wanted to say it because this is when we were being exposed to addiction. We were also processing watching people in our lives go through
Right.
addiction at a very young age. So we had that happening while we're all this is happening. So anyways, I just wanted to say that because during all of these moves and everything, we weren't just moving. We are sitting here witnessing addiction and what it does to someone, and through everything watching manipulation and all of these things. But so there is so much in these moves and all of this that we can obviously talk about in later episodes. But Kayleen, go ahead.
Right. And so with the one where we didn't have much rules, that's who we moved around a lot with and stuff like that. Okay. And then the other household, like I was saying, it was a household that where we did not move around a lot, but on the opposite side, yeah, we hang on. We I don't want to say play stores or honestly, didn't leave the house much at all. It felt like we were living in 2 completely different worlds, and we experienced, you know, on one side a lot of things, and then on the other side a lot of things. Trying to switch between those environments was not easy because it's like you go to having all this freedom to going to not having any freedom at all.
It's like your hands and feet got tied
Um,
before you, even though the other place wasn't healthy.
right,
Now you're in another unhealthy place. And Keelan, I think I've
right,
explained it to you this way and some other people in my life. We were on this battlefield, and this is when we start shifting to when Keelan left a certain household and I left a certain household and blah blah blah. I shouldn't say blah 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 because it was like really intense stuff. But
right. Like the stricter household. I eventually, I guess we could say moved out, so to speak. Um, and
I
you
was
had ended up
visiting,
staying back because you
right?
were right.
Cause and that's sorry, I
So
keep interrupting you.
no, you're good. You're good. Go ahead.
I I was just gonna explain really quick. We are on this battlefield, like when a war zone. You have, let's just use colors. Yellow on the right side, green on the left side. And you're thinking, okay, at the end of the day, someone's gonna win. So, there's gonna be a good outcome on one of the sides. There's gonna be something good, you know? And so in this dynamic of two extremes, we've got team yellow and we got team green. What we didn't realize as kids and trying to navigate and make situations, no matter what side of the battlefield we chose, we were going to go through living hell. There was no good side to pick. We were going to have to go through these life experiences on both sides that some people never get exposed to in their entire life. And that's not their fault. That's a blessing for those people. And if you're one of those people listening that you haven't experienced those things, that's a blessing and you are a blessing. That's also an incredible life, just in a
Right.
different way. Anyways, so with these two different ends of the field, it neither side was necessarily right. And I've had people ask, well, oh, well, would you think the freedom was like better or strict? And I'm like, well, I've experienced both, so I don't really think either's good.
To the highest extreme. It's not
Yeah.
like, oh, a little bit of freedom and then a little strict. No, it was
Extreme
like
on both ends.
100%. Yeah, extreme on, yeah.
Okay, but anyways, go ahead on what you were saying because I cut you off.
No, no, you're good. Um, like I feel like when you're living in two completely different worlds like that, and you're trying, especially because as a kid, you're trying to understand and navigate through two completely different situations. It's like it's very difficult, and switching between those two different environments was not easy at all. And in one place, you're used to having independence and, making your own decisions and choices. Then you're going to the other side where it's like you're being monitored, everything you do, your phone being watched, very restricted from a lot. And mind you, like, oh, well, it can be really, really confusing, especially as a kid, still trying to figure out the world for yourself because now you're a kid taking care of yourself on both ends. And I feel like for you and I feel like we had to grow up super quickly. I feel like we didn't really get I personally feel like we didn't get the chance to really be kids. I feel like we were, you know,
I agree with
but
you.
yeah, I think navigating that was probably one of the hardest parts because you're constantly adjusting. I mean, you got us moving states all over the place, freedom, going out, doing whatever. And then for me, when we ended up back into the stricter environment, I had a very hard time adjusting to it. And eventually we just were button heads too much. And Yeah, I just was asked, I'm just gonna say asked to leave.
Well, I think too, Kayleen, just pointing out in that situation
At 17.
specifically, it wasn't
Mhm.
just you. Like, I know you had a hard time with it, but I also think you had this immense amount of pressure on you because you were still going to another household. And in that, you
Right.
got such a bad end of things because now you see where even if you would have stayed, now you see my story and it even and now I
Right.
see yours because if I would in my head I'm like, what if I would have went? And you I'm maybe if sometime if you were like, well, what if I would have stayed? Now we've come together and it's like, dude, it was a storm
Yes.
everywhere. Like no side was
Right.
right. And
But,
yeah, go ahead.
well, just to clear it up so everybody kind of understands, at 14, I got to decide why didn't, yeah, I made the decision that I wanted to go live in the household that was more freedom and stuff like that. So I was living there, and this is where me and my sister had gotten separated. She had stayed back and was visiting every so often. Then things kind of, I don't even know where to go from there. Things went downhill very, very quickly.
Yeah.
You
Well,
were visiting,
he
I don't know. Sorry if I'm
n-
like throwing it off.
no,
I'm
you're
like
not
being
throwing it off
confusing.
at all. I remember the day that I stopped going and I had walked in to this house. Mind you, we had two people that brought us
Yeah.
there. I was supposed to visit. And when I walked in, there was nothing. Mind you, this is so familiar. Like
No couch,
it's not like I just walked
no
in and like
electric.
I'm like, "Oh my gosh, there's nothing here." That's not a surprise. It was
Right.
too familiar. So I'm like, I walk in, there are beer cans all over the counter. There's beer cans on the floor. I'm like, I can't. I was like, I am done. I think I just hit a point at that bright age that I was like, I'm done. I can't take
Yeah.
this anymore. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to walk back out to this car and I'm going to go with them and things are going to get better. I'm not going to have to live through this anymore.
Right.
I'm not going to have to go through that. And when I got into that car and I didn't go back, I did not realize that the other side of the playing field was going to impact me the way that it did. And I mean, not in good ways. And I still try to look back and find the good in certain things, but I mean, the impact that going from that and into this, I mean, guys, when we or I specifically explained me and Keeling didn't really have a relationship, I got to a point I despised Keeling because she wasn't there. And Keeling, we've talked about this. Like we have felt bad
Yeah.
because we weren't
Yeah.
there, but there was no way we could have been there for each other. There was just nothing we could have done. There
Right.
was nothing we could have done.
Because that household that you were talking about, I was living there, and and honestly, I don't blame you because, that was an environment that none of us should have really been in.
Either of them,
And
really.
I don't, I feel like I really feel like that was the day. I think that was the last time I had saw you for a very long
I
time,
think so too.
right?
I'm pretty
Or
sure, yeah. And then so much happened and with that and I honestly, Kayleen, I'm gonna end up even talking about the extent of my hands and how long it took me to be able to eat in front of people. I am gonna go to that. I probably won't do that in
yeah,
today's episode. Um,
right.
I'm gonna I think we should I'm gonna go a little deeper too, I think, because I mean, when the topic of this episode is when home isn't safe, and now we opened up a title that is like over a decade of our life. So, I mean into our teenage years. So this is kind of going to be a wormhole, so we're going to have to break this up a little bit, but um yeah, Kayleen, I think
Yeah,
that the explanations and the way we have described it is absolutely
right.
amazing. I
I
you know,
think, yes.
what do you think?
And two, I think if you want, we can, because that's kind of in, like, not ending there, but like towards the end of this. that's where me and you, I feel like, because this is our story and then also how we came together and stuff like that. So I feel like if you want to for the next.
So we are bummed that we're gonna end it right there. It's just how the podcast is gonna go. Just because we have so much to unpack and talk about, and also through it, we want to invite you guys in as well. So this is gonna be a really exciting time, and I'm so excited to see where this goes, just in general, and with you guys listening to us because it took us a long time to get here and do this, and I gratitude. It's like I'm looking at a bird walking down the street.
That's smiling. But yes, for sure. So yeah, so next time we can just go ahead and start back from there where I was living with the more of the freedom household, and you were in the stricter household. And at the point where you had was still coming and visiting us, and it was, I mean, there was no electric, and so I completely understood, like there was nothing.
Yeah,
But
we'll
yeah,
do that.
so
Okay.
we'll start off there next, what, like
Yes.
you just said.
So, if you guys want to hear more about our experience with the strict versus the freedom, join us on our next podcast. And we will see you guys, or you guys will hear us next time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
All right,
Yep.
Kayleen.
Yep.
Bye.
Alrighty, bye y'all. Later.